Hey everybody! Did we talk in this section about OOP or Object-Oriented Programming? When we talk about OOP, we mean we need to separate the concept. That means we will make our project from number of classes with number of interface and enums and more. That means instead of having one GAD class, you'll have number of component or number of class are communicate together or are connect one of them to depend of another one. That means we separate in the concept. So when we have problem in any place, we will go to that class and we'll fix it. Instead of having one GAD class and we'll go through the big around, like for example 1 million line and looking for the error and fix it. So object-oriented programming is the concept, and it will use it in every project. So because you need to manage your project and make it easy to modify in the future. So how object-oriented programming work? Object-oriented programming mean you treat everything as object. Let me give you an example. Car is object, and also the home is object, and this animal is object. Every one of these objects have specific properties and specific methods. Let me tell you about the car. What do you think about the car? The car as a properties, what properties this car could have? Could have type of the car, for example BMW, could have model of the car 2015, could have the price of the car 10,000, or could have miles drives or miles user drive this car like 405, and the owner of this car Hussein. So all these are properties of the car. You describe things. When we talk about properties, we mean we describe things. So the car as object have number of properties. But also this object have number of methods. For example, you need to get the price of the car. Depending on how many miles drive it or how many the real price. For example, if it's 10,000 and drive it 5 miles, you cut something for driving time. Also, you need to get owner, because the owner it be in the database, and the database maybe there's too many owners, so you want to go and filter and look for the last owner and bring the information of it. So what I want to tell you, or what I want to show you from this simple example, the car as object has number of properties. Also, it have number of methods. So any object in object-oriented programming, you will treat it as object, have specific properties that describe the object, and a specific method to do some operation on that object. So this is the class that we described for a few seconds. And when you wanted to write it in the code, will be in this way. So you will have a class. You say public class, you define your class. So public class and give a class name car, then describe properties for the class by number of variable, type, model, price, mile, owner, and you have two methods. One of them get a price, getting a price depending on the miles. He will take 100 for every mile drive, take it from the real drive price, and get the owner return will return to you the owner name. So did you see this is how the object described and how we could describe in the code. So now I want to initialize this class or create instance from the class with this data with BMW under formation. All what you have to do is just you create instance from the car. You say car, for example car2, call a new instance from the car, and you give information for the car like the type car.type. When you want to access to properties, you say instance.properties. So this means instance, and this means properties. So instance.properties value, instance.properties model value, instance.price, miles, and owner. Did you see how I define the class here and how I create instance one? You could create second, third, fourth, too many instances, as many instances as you want. So this is a basic example I could give you about class. One thing you have to know in Java, you don't have constructor. Or sorry, constructor. We have constructor. We don't have constructor because Java use garbage collection. Garbage collection is the way that Java do garbage for any variable that no longer use it. But Java cannot predicate when the object is destroyed. So therefore, there is no constructor. So if you get this question in any interview, make sure you answer this. Answered by this way. You have to say Java cannot predicate when the object will destroy, so it do not have constructor. Let's start with a simple example. We'll name it here. Give it a name as a car. Try to understand how class work. My example for this video, I want to do simple program about car company. This car company have type of the car and the model of the car and a number of the miles that every car may drive, and also the real price of the car. And there is a method in this class that when we call it bring to us the price or the price for this car. So to get started, I will click right here and create a class, and I will name it here, give it a name as a car. Okay, this car class have a number of properties. When we talk about class, imagine a class as an object. So any object in the life have to think properties and method. A properties is something we use to describe the object, and the method, it is some operation we use it to get some data or to excuse something about the properties. So what we have in this class, we have type of the car. So let me suppose the type should be string. So types, I would say type, string type, and I make sure write it under after the open bracket. What other information I will have about the car? Model. The model should be integer because 2015, 2013, whatever. Then other information I have is the price of the car. So let me suppose the price will be double for price. And other information I have it mileage, a number of the mileage, or I would say double miles drive, like how many miles this car drive. So this is the properties for this class or for the car. So what the method I have? The method I will have in this class is for bringing the price of the car. So let me suppose the price will be double the returned data. The name of the method is get price to give us the price of the car. Then I open bracket, close it. Then here we go, down. So how you imagine the price could be calculated? Let me suppose I will define double in this way. Make sure I did everything in small letter. Double a new price. I would suppose the new price will be the real price minus how many miles this car drive. So I say miles, and this way miles drive, like how many miles this car drive, multiplied by, for example, 100. The idea here is work. That means if the car drive 10 mile, I will take for every mile 100. Just specific fraction we used in this company. So if the car price is 10,000 and the drive and it's used for 10 mile, for example, the new price will be 9,000 because we take for every mile we take 100, and this method will return the new price. Okay, so very basic example, very basic class, have number of properties and number of methods. So if you see, you could define more methods. Just define them. You are very free to define your method, and this is the way you define the price. So how I could work with this class? If you see, to get class, so let me say open new class and name it car main. That's mean main method that I call the car from. Let me suppose this is the main method that I should call the car. So first of all, I need to get instance from the car. So I would say car new instance, because car is object, so you treat it like anyway, like the way you treat the integer, or you treat the string, or you treat the double, all these as objects. So same thing, the car now is object, so you could create instance. So you say car, you define like car 1, for example, equal, you just define instance from type class of the car, equal a new instance of the car. Okay, this is the way how you define instance from the class. So now I have the car, or I have instance from the car class. If you see, this is the car. So now you could imagine all this information are being in this variable. So this is a new instance from the car. So let me give some information for the car. Let me say car1 dot, you could access to the information. For example, I would say the type of the car BMW. Okay, I would say car1 dot the model, I would say 2016, and I would say car1 dot price, let me suppose it to be 10,000, and I would say the miles dot miles drive, let me suppose it moved for 5 miles, and this all the information I provide about this car. Now I want to get the price for this car, so I would say sys.o, I just print the price. So I have this car instance from the car, just I say car1 dot get price. If you see, this is the method for getting the car price. Just click on it. Here you go. Now first I get simple instance from the car, I give it the properties information, then I say, hey, bring me the price. If you say, if I get add message here, car price, in this way, so to be really nice now, this instance. So if you see how I could access to any properties, in the class, you just say name of the instance dot name of properties, name of the instance dot name of properties, name of the instance dot properties. So you want to access to price, you say car dot price. When you want to access to method, if you see, I have the method get price. In same way, you say name of instance dot name of the method that you want to access to. Just let me save it and click run. You have to see, if you see how much the price, it is 9,500. Why it's not 10,500? Because the car price is 10,000 and it moved for 5 miles, so the new price will be 9,500. Let me show you how this one works. If I just add breakpoint and try to debug it to allow you to understand how this one works. Here we go. If you see now, I'm just having simple app, doesn't have anything. First step, I just create instance from the car. When I just go next, you will see I have instance of the car, and this instance from the car have all the information about the car in addition to the method. Method will not appear here because this is just variable. You'll display only the variables. If you see now, if I just go next step, I will have the type, BMW, just move, the model, next, the price, next, the mile, move it. Now just, if you see, this is method when you call it, he will display for us the price for the car. See, how is it? Really easy. If you want to see it in more details, like you see how the car prices come, let me say here, I just open a bracket, I say double price equal, just to make it nicer for you and you understand how the work is done. Let me say I just want to print it in this way and make sure this double right in the right way. Okay, hopefully now it's good. So save it, rerun it again. Let me see. First, I just create an instance. Just go next. BMW. Just give all the information. See now, when I access to this step, I want to see what's going in the method. So I don't want to do step over. I want to do step into to see the method. If you see, he go to the method. But now inside the method, if you see when he talk about this, he have all the information: price, model, drive miles, type. And now all the information I have it, all the data that I have it. Now when he call price minus this, so he have the price and he have the miles also. So now when he go next, he will understand how you get the data. See, here is it. Now the new price, if you see it, it's 9,500. Why I have all these data? From where this data come? Because I already create instance from that class. So this is my data, my new instance data. If you see this, I'm talking about the new object that I created that have ID 18. If I go to next, if you see, here you go. Now the price have the new price. So just I want to show you, this is very simple way to create instance from the class and how the data or the variables and method call inside the object. One thing you have to know it. This car is a new instance from the car. So if I define another instance here, I say, okay, I have second car, car2, equal a new instance, and you try to print a price, you will not get access to any information. You will get null for the second one. So let me say car1 here, and this one car2. Let me price, I would say this one also getting a price for the car, or I could say, yes, I could say this one. double price. I don't want to define it because I already defined it, car2. So just I defined instance from the car and I want to get the price for car2. You think you already initialized this data, so now car2 could access to it. But if you run it, you will run to a problem. You will get 0. It's not 2000. It's not 9500. The problem why this one happened. If you just try to do this one step over, and you see now I don't have anything. If I just go next, I just create instance, name it car1. It have ID 18. If I go just next, just remember car1 and 18. If I just go next, this car2, if you see it, car2 have ID 24. So this instance is totally different from the first instance. Car1 is totally different. If you see, car1 is a new instance from the class, doesn't have any information because it have different ID. This 24 and this one 18. So one thing you have to know it when you work up with a class, every object from the class is the copy from real class. So it does not have access to any data from other instance. So to initialize the data for this one, you have to do same thing here. You have to do same thing here, but with car2. Let me say what's car2 still, BMW. Let me say the model for car2 is 2015. Let me say the price for car2 will be like 9,000. And let me say the mile moved is 15 for car2. And now when I save it and print it, I see the result for car1 and car2. Why this one happened? Because now you have two instances. If you see, just step into just car1, it doesn't have any information because a new instance from the class, just move it, you give it all the information. Now when you go next, you have another instance, name it car2. If you see, different ID. And here we go. When you print it, you get the data. So just remember, any instance from your class will be totally different from other instance. So don't do like access to other properties like initialized by other instance you want to access to it. You cannot do it because this one is totally different from this one. And you could create an instance as much as you want from the class. Here we done, and see you next. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about constructor. Constructor is method that already available in the class that will be fire automatically whenever you create an instance from that class. Because it is constructor, so that means method that fire automatically when anyone create an instance from that class. But this method have specific things. First of all, the name of this method should be same name of the class. Second thing, this method will not return any value. Only could get input value. So how that method works? So if you see here, I create a new instance from the class car. That means I already have a class named car and have a number of properties and have method. So when will be the method named or the constructor? The constructor will be here or any place, just will be in this way, will be public. The name of the constructor, as I told you, should be same name of the class. Then you open a bracket. You could set an instance, or you could not. You could don't set any instance. Then close it. Let me suppose I will say syso. Then create in this way. I will say class is created. Okay. This is simple method, as I told you, or simple constructor. This will be fire up. So if you see, no one called this method here. Here, no one called this method. But let me do something. Let me just run. See, is this method fire? Yes. If you see, class is created when I create first instance. Then class is created when I create second instance. Why this one happen? Because when you create a new instance from the class, he will already call this method. And this is mean constructor. This method fire up automatically when anyone create instance from the class. So, and therefore you have it, or you have data in it. So why we use constructor? We use constructor to initialize the data. So instead of give data for type, model, price, mile, we couldn't send all these data to the constructor in one step. So how I do that? Let me suppose I go here. In this constructor, I could get input data. For example, I could get type as string, and I could get the model as integer, Also, I could get other information that the price, how many element I want to send to the constructor, I could send without any problem. So let me send all this for information. Now this is just input data to my class. Someone will send them from here. From here will send them. For example, BMW, instead add them here, he will move it in this place. Second parameter, it is 2016. Third parameter is this one, the year. Fourth parameter will be the mile. If you see, now all these steps I no longer need them. I could take them off. Here you go. If you see how much simple be, in one step, when you create an instance from the class, you could directly send them. I don't want to fire this code. I just will stop them because you will need them when you want to review the code for the second parameter. But it's the same way. You could do it in the same way for the third and second parameter. So yes, I just in the step I create an instance, I send the parameter to the class, these parameters, and here we go, the price and get price, everything okay. But how I initialize the data? This is just method taking this input as variable. I want to initialize this variable. It's really easy. So now if you see, I have two type. This type as input and this type part from the class. I could not say type equal type. The compiler will not understand what this one and this one. He will say, okay, this both of them are related to this. You mean this variable. Now I want to access to this one. Initialize it. So when we talk about the class in Java, you have to say this. So that means you say this dot type equal type. This dot type, that means this class, the class that I'm in. Which class this method in? It is car. So please go to the car, go to the top and look for type. So this dot type, you mean this type. What about module? Same way. You want to initialize the module, you say this dot module equal module. That means, okay, initialize this module for me with this module that's coming as input. What about the price? Same thing. You say this dot price equal the price. And what about miles? You say this dot miles dot يساوي equal, or this dot miles, sorry, not price, this dot miles equal miles. So if you see how I initialize the data, first of all I send them as input, then because they are same name, because this variable have same name of this variable, I cannot give them equal. I have to access to this class, I have to identify, hey, I want to access to this one. So to do that, I say this means the class that I'm in. Which class I'm in? I'm in car, so please go up to the car and look for type. So this will initialize everything. Now if I go back and run the code, I have to see same result without different. I don't know why here there's error. Public car is undefined. I don't know. For instance, no, just save it. The error is gone. Now let me just run. Same result without any problem. Okay, now could I have more than one constructor? Yes, you could. So let me say, okay, I have another constructor, but this constructor will not take any parameter. You could do that. It looks like any method. So let me just say class 2 or constructor 2 is created. And let me say this one will be constructor 1 is created. So you understand which one we call. Now, if I go back here, just run it, you will see, for sure he will say constructor 1 is created and he gives the price. Now, could I do it in this way? Yes, I could. Because now when he called this constructor, send for parameter, he will now you are calling this one. Second time, when he called this constructor without any parameter, he will understand you will call this constructor. So could I have more than one constructor? Yes, I could have. Let me see. I just added this line. Let me just remove it and save everything and fire up the code to see the result. Here we go. See, the first one called constructor 1 and the second one called constructor 2. And this is what I want to tell you. One thing, or one question you will have it a lot in the constructor interview. They will ask you, is the constructor return value? No, a constructor could not return value. Could I have more than one constructor? Yes, you could have, but they have to be different number of parameter. For example, this one have 3, this one have 2, or different parameter or different data type. So like methods, like something we talked about method. And could I have more than normal methods? You get a price, get owner, get more, add method as much as you could. So this is a basic. How did you see how I manage it? Yes. Here we're done, and see you next. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about static. When you define variable as static in the class, you mean this variable will be shared between all the instances of the class. Did you remember first when we define variable in first class and we try to access to it in the second class? We cannot do that because every class have to be copied from real class. So if you define price in first one, you cannot access to the price in second one. For example, this one. Let me tell you the example. If you see here, I give it the type of the car, BMW. So I could say SYSO for S1 or car one dot. Let me talk about the model, the type of the car. So let me say type. In this way, if type. So yes, I hope this one will work. So if I take this one and try to do same thing with the second one before printing the car type this way, and say okay, for the car 2 price, and imagine in the car 2 you did not send the model, the type, you did not send it. So and you run it, you see the type for first car, you see it BMW, but the second car type is null. Why? Even you define the type here, because this instance car one is totally different from the instance 2. So the second one have to have also type because they are different. So what if you want to share some information between the instance to save memory? I'll give you a simple example. Imagine you have 10 channels. All the channels are belong to same owner. So if we define, if we said okay, here we go. If you see here, I have type BMW, but second one type is null. Why? Because the first car is the instance, I have specific ID, and when I call type, I just initialize it. But the second instance is totally different from first instance, so it does not have type. So for that reason, he give you null. So to see the value, you have to initialize for it. You have to give it value. So now when you run it, you see the value. So let me tell you one story. Imagine you have number of cars, and all these cars are belonging to same owner. Let me suppose the owner is Smith. You could say in every car you initialize it, you do in this way. Imagine do this way. You say okay, owner or string for owner, and this way, and you send the owner here for the string as initialized. Sorry, in this way, take this one, copy, I added as initialize, added multi-line. You could do it in multi-line. You say okay, I initialize it for the owner, and you would send the owner here. Let me suppose the owner here is Smith, so you send the owner is Smith, and when you want to go to the second instance, you have also to define the owner. You have also to go here and say hey, this car to dot owner is Smith. I think this is not worth, because imagine you have 20 or okay, see, you have 200 car belonging to the Smith. So why you create 200 instance because for Smith is not worth. So imagine I want to print this one here in the same example, owner car 2 for owner, and this one for the car 1. So both of them will give you same thing. I now add see car 1 or to owner. I don't know what the problem here. Owner cannot be, so make sure you save it here before you go back. So now you could access to it. Yes, now just saving. Here we go. Now I have Smith. As I told you, I suppose Smith is shared between all the classes. So a basic thing, you just define Smith as static. when you define this is something static, that means this thing could be accessed directly by class name. So you could access to Smith before create any instance. From here you just say car1 dot owner. You could do that, and you could give it name, any name you want. Let me suppose I give it Smith. Here you go. And you don't have to send value for Smith here, and also you don't have to initialize Smith here, because he will be shared between all the variables. Make sure you remove this one, because you no longer need it. You no longer need to initialize it from here. So the idea behind this point, if you see, I just in one step, I just say, okay, car, I give it the car name or the class name dot the any static value. So whenever you have static, you just give the class name without instance dot the name of the variable, then give it value. Now this variable automatically, or this instance already will have the owner, and this instance already will have the owner. Is that right? Let me see. Yes, if you see, I have a Smith here and I have a Smith here. So now, because you defined this static, that means it be shared between all the instances. As many as instance you will have it, all this instance, they will share same owner, because the owner is static. So just we use it to save memory. Are we done? And see you next. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about inheritance. Inheritance in Java mean you have a class, have specific properties and methods, and you want other class to inherit this information. Imagine I have this class car. It have number information about type of the car, model, price, miles drive, and owner, and I have get price, or get the price of the mile. This class work for the normal car. Imagine you have trucks. Trucks, the big car. It have all this information. In addition to, it have also the number of trucks that this truck could have. So let me suppose I have a new class, and I say car truck this way, and this car truck could have all the information for the normal car. So let me go to the normal car. I say it have all this information, all these properties, by the way, and also this car truck also have this method, and in addition to this information, it have a truck or a trunk that added to the end of the car. So let me suppose I have string or integer or boolean has a truck or not. It's just properties. So if you see these two classes, the normal car class, if I take this one, have same properties I have it here, and this one have in addition one addition properties, and this one have method, and this one have same method. So it's not good to repeat the information if I have it. So why I don't inherit all this information from other class instead of writing down? Because they are shared. So it's better to just say here extend. When you want to inherit another class, you just write extend in this way, then the name of the class that you want to extend it. I want to extend the car, so I just say car. That means I'm inherit the car. When you say extend car, that means you inherit all the information that available in the car class. So that means you don't need to repeat this information, and also you don't need to add this one. So did you see? I just get all the information from the car class in addition to this line by just adding this one to the end, just extend. That means I'm getting all the information that available in the car class. And this will be great to reduce the line of the code that you have done. Also do relation between the component. So do you see how much it's easy? I know you have some basic thing you think is not easy. So let me show you what I will do. Let me just create an instance. I will name it car truck main to show you how I create an instance from this class. Now in the main, let me do same code that I have in the main here for the main method, so I don't need to repeat all the information again and again. So here you go. Now you want to create instance from car track, this one. So you say, okay, car track in this way, car track, a new instance equal a new instance from car track. So let me say I want to give the model dot. If you see, I have a model. What? I don't see model here. So from where the model came? Model came from this car because you already extend car class. So all the information here you will have it. Model, price, mile drive and everything. So you could say model, for example, GSM, and you say car track dot has track, you say equal true, yes, this one has. You say dot miles, let me say 100, and this one dot price, the price of it. I think the model should be integer. I will update it now. The price that we say this price, and the model should be integer, that we suppose 2016, and also car track dot the type of the car should equal to, let me suppose, GSM, and let me just print something about the price. I say system sys, I say car track dot get price. See, also I have the method, so I could get a price, so I say price, and here we go. Let me just save it, just run it. You will see I just called constructor2 and I get price. So how this one work? Just I get instance from car track, and car track, if you see, doesn't have only this one, only has track have it as properties. As I told you, we initialize all this information for this class. We give it all this information, then all this form that initializes that already we inherited from this car class. And also when we call the method, this one gets track, we already inherited. So imagine the car track, a new car, will have all the properties and method that are available in car as a public. Make sure public, not a private, defined as public. We will go through public and private next, and all the method also that defined as a public, in addition to the properties and method have it here. It's easy to have this one, for example, void for example get owner. You say just display the owner, and this one you say SYSO, you say you just print the owner. If you see, you don't need to do any information about the owner, just you say the owner directory. Do you know why? Because owner already available in the car here. Where is it? Here, owner. So when you inherit the car, so you think owner is already available here, just normal variable, just call it. So let me say owner in this way. Make sure do it in this way. So see, I could call the owner. Here we go. Now if I save it, go back here, run it again, you will see the owner also. Constructor, price. Oh, I didn't call the method for get owner. I could say car track dot get owner, I think. Yes, get owner. So he will give us the owner name. The owner, he give us Smith. If you see, owner, I don't have owner. Do you know why? Because I never initialize owner here. So you could say, now this is the good thing. How could I access to owner? Yes, you could say just from beginning, you say car track by the name of the class name. Say car track. Make sure car track, I give it the correct name. This one, car track dot owner, because already will be, let me say Smith is the owner. And yes, see, I did not get any instance directory. I give it the information because you already inherited. So here you go, owner is Smith. Did you see? Yes, all the information in the car class I will have it in the car track for the owner, model, miles, price and type, and get track. In addition to the method that I have it here, name it get owner. Owner, it's not correct, this get owner. Yes, this is a basic thing how you could do inheritance from any other class, and how you could get all the information or any information defined as a public in the original class, and you could use it. But one thing you see I call it here the something called named constructor 2 is created. Do you know why this one happened? When you create instance from car track doesn't have any constructor, so he will go and call the constructor that in the car. But imagine I have now a constructor for the car track here. So let me suppose I have instance or constructor here, public constructor for car track, and let me say SYSO constructor of car track. What will happen? Let me show you what will happen and make you understand what we did. If I click run, you will see two constructors created. First one is the constructor 2 is created, then constructor track is created. Do you know why? I will tell you why. First, when you create instance from the car track, he will go here and see I will create instance from car track. He will directly extend this car. The car, he also, when he extend the car track, that means he will get other information for the car track. One of them is this one, is the constructor here. This one will be executed automatically because it is like by default. I didn't give any parameter to it, so it will be executed directly. So he will give you this result. Constructor 2 is created. Then he will go next and he execute the constructor that you have it. So first of all, he will execute the constructor in the main, then execute the constructor for this class. Yes, this is basic. Then he continue to print this one and that one. Here we're done, and see you next. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about encapsulation. Encapsulation means you limit access to some variable or same method using private or public or protect. So what does that mean? If you see I have now instance from car track and I have variable named has track in the car track, I just access to a directory after I create instance from the class. I want to limit access to this variable. I don't want anyone to access to this variable directory from the class. So I will go here and say, okay, this is a private. When I define anything as a private, that means this variable no one could access to it outside the class. If you want to access to this variable, you have to be inside the class. Even anyone if inherit this class cannot access to it. If I go here, see, you say you cannot access to this variable. So how I could, like for example, set this variable? I will do for example simple method. I will say void or set has car, not this way, set. I hope set has car. I will say boolean has car, and this way. Then I go down, I say this dot has car equal has car. Here you go. So if you see now, if I want to set it, I will not use this method. I will not use direct. I will use method set track. It's good to help to avoid direct access to some variables. So I don't want this variable to be direct access, only by method. For example, I will give you another example on the car track. If you remember the car example, you see these variables. If you want this variable to be accessed only direct, like only accessed by the constructor, so you just define this one as private, and you do same thing for the all other variables. Now if I save it, let me just go to the car track, not car track, car main. If you see car main, first when I create instance from the car, there is no problem. Only the main owner, I don't want it to be private. The owner, I want to keep it public. So I want to access to it. Only I need this one also change it to private. So all the information private. If I go here to car, if you see, I could set owner. I could access to that information from the constructor, and everything is okay. But this one will not execute because this one using direct access to the variables, and I want to avoid them. And this is the basic example. But the one thing you have to know, because I defined this one as private, so the class, this class, that means car track, that extend track, will not inherit anything that defined as private. So if I go here to the, when I create instance from car track, I want to access model, I cannot. I want to access to mile, I cannot. Price, I cannot. Tab, I cannot. Because this one, when I inherit cars, I will inherit only the public information. I will inherit only the owner, and I will inherit only get price because it's public. If you did not write anything before the method, it will be public directory. So if you see, if I go here to the car track, you see the owner will not have any problem, but all the information have a problem. Get price will not have a problem because public. This one public, no problem. This one private, cannot access to it. So you could also define variable just by writing public. That means this one could be accessed to anyone in any place. If you don't write anything, it will be already public, but it's better to write public. Now if I see, I go back, the problem have to be gone, but make sure from this one also change it to public. So yes, public, that means you could access to it from any place. If I go back to car track, let me say, okay, this method is public also, that setting. So you could set method also, not only variables. And what he say here, has not visible. Just save it. Here we go. So also a method could be defined public as private. Let me suppose I want to define this method as private. If I go back here, you cannot access to this method directory. Only could be accessed in the class. So one thing you have to remember, if I define anything private, this method or properties cannot access directory using instance, and also cannot access using inheritance if you define it private. If public, you could access to it from any place. What if you want this variable could be accessed only from inheritance, but you don't want to allow direct access? For example, you say, okay, the model have to be accessed only from the inheritant one, not from direct. You say you define it as a protect or protected. When you define variable as a protected, if you see, if I go to a car track here, this one, if I get car track, I could access to the model because model it's be part from the car, okay, from the car track, and the car track already inherit car, so on this one protected, so anyone inherited could access to it. But if I go to the normal car, when I create normal instance directory, I cannot access to the model. I will have problem later because this will be protected, so only by inherited one. So just remember public, private, protect, and define it whenever you want them. Here we done, and see you next. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about override. Override means there is a method in the parent class have some data, and when you want to inherit this method, you don't want it to have the same, you want to change it. I'll give you a basic example. Do you remember the car class have a number of information about the class and have the method for getting a price? And this method is getting price by real price minus the mile that the user drive it multiplied by 100. So he will take off 100 for every mile drive it. You remember there is another class named car track that inherits the class car and get all the information of the car in addition to has track. But when you came here, you say, okay, in the car we will take 100 for every mile, but in the track I will take 15 because the track is moving a lot. So I will not take 100. So this method you want to update it in the car track. If you see car track now, when go to the car track main, when you run it, when he call get a price, he will use the origin method. When you send it 100, he will take the real price and minus by how many miles move, multiply by 100. You want to change it, to 15. So what you will do, you need to override this method. So what you will do, how you overwrite it, you will take it and you will go to the child. This one already have this method, have it already because he inherited. But now you want to overwrite it. So when you overwrite it, you will see, you will just write same name, same parameter, same everything, but different content. Make sure different content because you overwrite it. So whatever you want to write here, write. Let's, for example, I want to do this one return 15. not 100. I save it. Now if I go back, same code will execute. See the result now. I have how much the price, 1330. Now the price should be different. See, 18330. Why? Because now get price, when you call it, he will call this method that available in the car class, that buy 500. He will not call this one, the original, because you overwrite it, you change it. Think about it in this way. There is a car class, have this all the information. When you inherited any public information, you will get, so that means you will get all this information in addition to this method. You will have it now in this line. But here you decided to change this method. So take same name, same return data, and different whatever you want to write. And this is the basic how you overwrite method. To avoid any error, just write this one, set overwrite. This notation will help you to overwrite, to help you if you really overwrite method, or if you write something error. If I say this one, he will give us error. Hey, this is not overwrite method. That means there is no method have this name. You cannot override it. So just take this one off. Get price, yes, it is correct. You overwrite it. So this notation will help you to identify if you are really overwriting method or you are mistaking. You will see this one a lot in Android. Are we done? And see you next. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about the difference between the word this and the word super. When you say the word this, that means this class. If I'm in this class, I'm writing this. That means where I am, I'm in car, a class named CarTrack. That means you write CarTrack.has car. So the CarTrack.has car, CarTrack.has car, you mean this one. So this is what means this. So when we use it, this is a basic example we use it. If you see, if I write has track, I have has track here as an input. So he will confuse. He will say, oh, you mean this one have high priority because I'm in this method. So you mean this one. You mean this one. This one equal this one. No, I mean this one. I want to access to this one. So you write this. So use word this whenever you want to access the properties or the method in your class when you have some confusion, like this confusion. And you will see this with the word this a lot in Android. So what if I want to access to parent class and parent properties and method? I will tell you a simple scenario. If you see, I have car track and I have car. And if you remember from overwrite, we have here price, get price. Just we are overwriting get price that is available here. So if I go here in main method, I'm just calling get price. When I run it, he will give us the price that in the method car track because we overwrite it. If you see this method, this line. So what if you want to call the get price that in the parent? Now if I say here, if I system.print get price all ones, he will print for us the get price in my method because I'm talking about my method. If I save it, I just go here and run it, you will not see any different. You will see same price because I'm calling same method. What if I want to call the get price in super? That means in the one that in the car track, the one that I'm extended. So I just write this super dot the name of the get method. When you write super, that means hey, I'm talking about which one I'm inherit. I'm inherit from car. That means I'm talking about car. If I go to the car, he will execute this method. If you see this one multiply by 100, but this one will multiply by 15. So I have to see different. So let me run, and is they will be same or will be changed? They have to be changed. If you see, now I have changed it. 1330, 18330. So why? Because you write super. The word super mean you talk about the main, the one that you inherited. So if I say super dot mile drive, I'm talking about mile drive. If I'm talking about get price, I'm talking the get price from the car, not from my method. This one is different from this one. This one I'm calling parent, this one I'm calling current. What if you want to call the constructor? For example, here you have the constructor and you want to initialize that constructor. You could say this way, super, and you could send the instance for the constructor. Did you see the instance? If I just click on it, you could say, or you could send whatever. You could send the parameter for the car. You could don't say anything. It depends on the car. If you see the car constructor have two type of the constructor. One of them that did not receive anything, and one of them is getting number of parameter. Whatever you want to call. Feel free. Imagine I want to call this one. So if you remember in car, when we call it, we send this parameter. So let me suppose I send this one also this parameter from car, from this one. Just so if we say super, I open a bracket, I send this parameter. That means I'm calling the constructor in the car. I send it this parameter. That means hey, I mean this one, this constructor. Did you see? If you save it, you run it, you will see different here. Here you go. So this user constructor one is created. So this is a basic thing that I want to share with you. You will see this word a lot in Android super when you want to call the constructor in the main class, and you will see super a lot, and you will see this a lot. Here we done, and see you next. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about aggregation concept. Aggregation concept is really easy concept. That means you have an instance of the class inside another class. So I have, for example, here car, the information about the car. I want to have the information about the owners in other class. So let me suppose I have here other class. I name it owners. And I would suppose this owners will have first name, and they have last name, and they have date of birth. Okay, dates, that means date of birth. You could, if you see here you say, hey, there's a problem, you could say import for the date, and here you go, make sure last time. So this is the information about the owners. You want to have this information aggregated. Aggregated means instance inside another class. It's really easy to do that. For example, here in the car class, you say, okay, I have instance of the owners. I say owners. Then you could initialize it. For example, here in constructor, you could initialize it. Call a new instance of owners. You could do initialize not same line, other line, so you could initialize it here, and you could give it any data. This is what we mean by aggregation. Aggregation means you have instance of from one class inside another class, and this is very easy concept, like first name, same thing, you give it first name, for example Hussein, and this is the basic concept for aggregation. Here we're done, and see you next. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about inner class or nested class. So to get started, I just create a new class and I will name it inner class. So just make sure inner class. Okay, this class will have a constructor or not constructor or main method. Inner class or nested class mean you have a class inside another class. Imagine I want to have information about animal, so I will have a class, name it animal, and also this class have two information, string for name and string voice. Okay, so this is two information about the class animal. If you see, here's it. You could add a class inside other class. It's really easy, and you will use that out in your programming. This means another class or nested class. When you want to get instance from this class inside normal method, for imagine I have this method void call. You will call it in a really easy way. Just you do instance from animal. You say animal or call a new instance from that class. Okay, and you could access to the, for example, name. A call, for example, monkey. Okay, and dot voice. I don't know what I have to write in the voice, but say whatever. This is see how I could access to it from normal class. But if you want to call this method inside a static method defined as a static, the class have to be static also. And you know what static means. Static, you have one version. So how is it? This is. Yes, this is a basic thing. If I want to print it, sys o, then I will say animal.name. Just make sure everything is okay. So just me print this one, and here we go, monkey. So one thing you have to remember, you could add a class inside another class, but if you want to call it from static method, the class have to be static, or if you call it from normal method, do not have to be static. Here we done, and thank you for watching. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about abstract class. When you define any class as abstract, that means you don't want to allow anyone to create an instance from that class. If anyone want to use this class, he have to inherit it. A basic example I could give you for a credit card. You don't want anyone to create an instance directly from a credit card. He have to inherit it to use it. So if we go back for our car class, we have car information about the car and have some method for car. And there is another class who inherit this car, name it car track. If you go back to main method, you would see we create instance directory from the class. Now you decided to don't allow anyone to create instance directory from class. You have to inherit it to use it. So just you go before the car and you go to the car class and you add the word abstract. When you add abstract, that means this class cannot be create instance directory from it. If you see here, you cannot create an instance directory. But if you go back here to this one, to the car track, here there is no problem because he inherited, so that's okay. So just remember, when you want any class to be only inherited, you just change it to abstract. Here we done, and thank you for watching. Everybody, let me talk in this video about interface. Interface means you have number of methods and you want to use this method in different classes with different implement. So you would use interface. The benefit from interface, your class could implement more than one interface, but your class cannot inherit more than one class. So the benefit of the interface, you could do more than one. Also, interface help you to construct your code. So if you go and define some operation for addition, subtraction, for example, modification, and you could implement in more than one class, so all the developer, when they work, will understand, hey, this implement for that class, and you understand what this method means. So let me give you a basic example. Let me give example about operation, add, subtract, and other stuff. So I will go add a class. I could add interface. So it will be easy. Let me just say, give it a name. Let me say, I will give it name operation. Okay. I hope operation, not operations. Finish. If you see, the name is public interface, not public class. Interface. Operations. The one thing you have to the interface, you just define the method's name. For example, you have integer sum for integer n1, integer n2. But there is no implement, just the name of the method. Example, you have more methods, just give it the name for the method. So just naming, so just this one for sub, and this one for div. Why we miss multiplication? Let me add multiplication also. Mul. And also for sure, this one should be double because you divide two number. So did you see? You just write the method name. This will not save anything in the memory, just naming. Now I want to implement this method. Let me do basic example for you. I will just create a class. I will say operation 1 for the first operation, or first one who implement, first class who want to implement this interface. To implement the interface, you write implement in this way. You write implement, then the interface name. Well, the interface name is operation. So just O, you see operation. If you see, he told you, hey, there is error. You are implement some interface, but you did not write any method. If I go here, click here, he say, hey, there is 4 methods. Do you want to implement them? Yes, implement them, please. If you see, he implement 4 methods for us. And also return and everything. Also, he was use word override because he overriding method. So let me suppose I will implement this one for n1 plus n2 because it is sum. I will implement this one for n1 minus n2 and this one n1 divided by n2 and this one should be n1 multiplied by n2. And that's okay. Yes, now you could create instance from this class and everything is good. So just make sure there is no error, but what he gives here, the method integer must be override to implement. Yes, we are already overwriting this method. It's because, yes, there is no error because you are already overwriting the enemy implement and everything. So yes, this is the basic thing. Make sure just this one saves so you will not have a problem here. Now you want to do another operation. Let me say operation, another one, and I say operation 2. The second one want to implement this interface. You also will implement this interface. You say implement, then the interface name operation. Okay. If you see also, hey, he said there is error. You are implement interface, but you did not implement or did not write the method. Okay. Hey, implement them, please. If you see this one. Now I want to say, okay, n1 plus n2 multiplied by 2. Everything multiplied by 2. So this one multiplied by 2. This subtraction multiplied by 2. This should be the division multiplied by 2. And this one should be the multiplication multiplied by 2. What I want to tell you, if you see, same interface is implemented in 2 methods. Or 2 class, but this class implement sum by summing 2 number and this one implements sum by summing 2 number multiplied by 2. So the idea behind the implement, you have method and you want to implement it in different way, and you will see implement a lot in Android because Android using a lot implementation for the interface already available on Android. So you just implement the interface and you write the method. So one thing you have to know, just the method name, and you just the interface name, and you could add them and you could implement them in different way. And did you see, now when we talk about sum, every developer understands what sum mean. So here sum, and it's already available in the main interface. Now one thing you have to know, you don't have to only implement, you could also extend. So this one could extend another class, could operation extend a class named car. That's okay. You can send the car and implement this method. And also you could add variable here, integer x, whatever you want to do. It's just programming. Yes, this is the best thing I want to share with you. One thing you have to remember, and you will ask, they will ask you in the interview, if you want inheritance, you could inherit only one class because you will have confusion in the constructors. But if you want to implement, you could implement more than one. So you could implement operation 1. Maybe you have another interface you want to implement it, just add and give the interface 2 and just continue. Now I have only one interface. I'm okay. Hey, we're done, and thank you for watching. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about enums. Enums mean you have some data that will never change. So you will use enums. Like for example, weekdays like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or the year, month, January, February, March, April. And the basic example, the gender is male or female. So all this information will never change, so you will use enums to keep them saved and keep the access to them easy. Imagine I have a basic enums for the gender, so either male or female. I just click here and create a new enum. I will name it gender. Okay. So to define the enums element, just say in this way, male, then add this one, female. You could add more if you have more. Continue. Just add this one and continue add. I just have male and female. That's okay. Now I want to have a class. This class have student information, first name and last name and the gender. So I will click here and create a class, and this class will be Okay. As soon as I have some information, string first name, and I have the gender. So the gender will be typed from this one, from the enum. So I will define it in this way, gender. So I will say if you see autocomplete, he'll give us gender, it's enum. Let me say gender in this way, gender. Okay, I want to initialize it. Okay, go ahead and do constructor. Let me suppose I have the constructor is public students, and you just initialize the first name and the gender. You say first this way name, and should be gender for gender. Okay, now this one should be string. Here you go. Now I have string and gender. You need to initialize them. Okay, this dot gender equal to gender. I have gender this way, and this dot first name should be equal to first name. This is just initializing data. Now when you want to get instance from student, so just click right here and get class, name it student main for just calling, and you have this main method. You want to get an instance from the class of student. You say okay, I will create student st equal new instance of student, and you give it two things. First thing of the name, so let me suppose I give it Hussein, and the second one the gender. To send the gender, if you see here, he take an input as a gender, and the gender it is just enum. So to send the data, you say just what type of Hussein. Hussein is gender dot male. Did you see how that your data, how it's easy to use and how it's like manageable? So let me print it SYSO print gender. So gender, just make sure everything is okay. I would say st dot gender if it is correct. So st dot, I hope I will find, I cannot find the gender now here. I think I have to do it, I save it before call it here, st dot gender, I think. Okay, here you go. Now if I print, it will give me male. So I could print other information for the name. So you say name equal first name. What I want to show you in this video, how Enum could manage your data. If you see, now I have Hussein and male. But how is it? See, when I get an instance and just send name and send data, there will not be any error. There will not anyone enter the word for male or female incorrect. He have either to send gender.male or gender.female. If someone mistake, he will get error. The code will not execute. So Enum is good. So use it a lot. Here we done, and thank you for watching. Everybody, let me talk in this video about casting. So let me just create a new instance, class, then I will name it casting. Okay. And just create main method. In main method I just open it. You remember when we talked about casting, when we have double, the double is like x equal 3.5, we could convert it to integer y equal x. But there are different data type between x and y, so you do casting. You take the data for first one and you just open the bracket and add data and close it. We understand this one could be only between double and integer, double and float and double. This data type you could convert between them because they belong to one family, but you cannot do it between string and integer. You could do same thing in casting between the classes. So if you remember, we did car class for the car. So if you remember, this is the class for the car, and have some information about model and all the information. And we have another class for truck, so car truck, that inherit car class. and this is the information for a track. If you see in the car main, we just, or the car track main, we just create this, we initialize the car track with all this information. Let me just copy this one and move it to the casting so I will understand what I'm doing. So let me just move it this one. I just create a new instance from car track. I give it all the information for the car track. If I save it, I run it, I have some information about car track. Now the question is, car track is the instance or the child of car. Could I do casting from car track to car? Yes. So how I do that? I will tell you. If I go back here, casting, I will create a new instance from the car. Let me suppose I will remove these two lines. I don't need to call them, and I just create an instance of the car. I will say car equal my car equal what? Equal car track. This instance of car track that already initialize it. But there is different data type. This is car track and this car, so I need to do casting. So I say, hey, cast me to the car. That means take car track to car. So what will happen? What will happen, he will take all the data that are available in car track and in car and set it. So now if I say my car, if I just print something, so s.o, my car dot, or my car, not car, my car dot, for example, miles, he will give you the miles that you have it already in the car track. So what I mean by that, you have car track have all the information for the car in addition to its information. When you do casting to the car, he will move only the information shared between car track and car. One thing missing here, for example, we did overwrite to the car, to the get price for the car, he will override the origin method. So you will if you call get price in car, he will call this method, he will not call the car one. So just imagine you have car and car track inherit all the information from the car and he set that information. When I do casting, he will take the set information and add it inside the her place in the car. This is the basic information about casting, and here we're done, and thank you for watching. Everybody, let me talk in this video about generic class and generic method. But before we start with the generic class and generic method, let me give you a basic example that print different array with different data types so you'll understand why we use generic. So first of all, I have array of string that named A1 have number of names. So I will give it data directory, so I could give array data directory by the right equal, then I open a bracket, then I say Alex, Dan, for example, Hussein. And imagine this is the basic array I have it. Imagine I have another array for integer and have number of numbers. So I2 will have numbers. So I will call 1 and this numbers. I have it in this array. And imagine the third array that I have it. Just me remove this one. It will be double. Okay, that's great. Double will be A3 equal, I open a bracket, will be 3.4, then 7.6, then 5.2, whatever, then I close the bracket. Just 3 array. Now you want to print this array using a method. So how you do that? You just go here, let me say void, I have a method, and this method, let me first print first one. I would print, I'll say print, I open a bracket, I will print string array. I will take it in this way, AR, then I could print it. There is many ways to print it, but because array is number of element, I could go through it through another type of array. I say for string is in the AR. So this will help to go through all element. When you define array loop in this way, you say, okay, I have loop, I name the variable that I wanted inside the array, which type of variable in the array string. So I will define variable of string. That means go through all the element inside this array. This is the basic way of for. So let me say syso. I don't know why this one. Okay, here you go. syso, then this one, let me say S, just print it. And he will continue print all the names. You could print in this way, and that's okay, or you could do it in any way you would like. So if I just call print for the first one, I say print for A1 and save it. Make sure everything this one should be static because I'm calling it from static method. So yes, here we go. I think everything good. Yes, I have this data. If you want to do it for the second one, you just copy it and you say no, now I that type I have an integer, so print the integer for me. Just what they mean, I mean here also should be integer the variable because I'm going through the element. You do it for the third one, it should be also a double, so make sure you write here double and double here because you want to print them. This is same, this is one named polymorphism, array with same number of elements with different data type. Now you could do print for the second one and third one, so you say A2 and A3 and save and print. Okay, see, now I have all the data, numbers and float and everything. Now what generic could do us, how we could print from generic. Generic mean you define a data type or a new data type. If you see, you have integer, string, array and everything, but now you want to define another data type that's not a variable. Let me suppose I have another data type here, name it T. I just open a bracket in the general before a void or before data type, I name it T. You could give it any name. You could have more than one variable by add this one, add another variable. I have one only, so I just have T. Now T is my new variable, but I don't know which type this variable. So instead of having string, I will say this T will be. And also I don't know what T mean. Also I say, okay, instead of string, I will say T. So now T is my new variable, but this T could be anything. Could be integer, could be string, could be character, could be whatever. So if I go down, I could now remove this to method and I still getting same result. Let me say, is that right? If you see, I just get it from two methods with one final method. But if you see here, this one could work with the generic, but integer and double could not work. So to fix this one, use a new type of double by writing double in this way, and use a new type of integer by using integer. This new types could work with generic, but the old type will not work. So if you run it now, here you go, you get same result. And this is basic thing. So whenever you want to use generic, it's really easy. When you don't know the data type or you don't want to care about data type, use generic. See, instead the three method, I used one method because now T could be anything. When I said integer, he will consider T as integer. When I send character, he will consider this one character. When I string, he considered string. When I send double, he considered T as double. This is what named generic method. What about generic class? Generic class is same thing, but you added here. For example, I have M and N, two variables. And now I could use M and N in any place I would like. Whenever you want to use them, use them. For example, you define array of M. You could do that. And this is the basic thing, but you see here you cannot do it because it's static and other stuff. You could fix it by just remove a static word, but I'm on main method now. And this is the basic work that I could share with you. So you will see T before the method a lot, and you will see T here, but T here to before a specific method, but T here will be or variables will define here could be accessed in any place in the class. And this is what I want to share with you, and thank you for watching. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about packages. If you remember, in first video we create one package, and until now we still continue adding class and that packages. But on your project Draw, you will have a lot of packages. So how to create a new package? Just on SRC, click right, and click package, and give it any name. Let me give it long name, com.example.array. You will see this name a lot when you work with Android. So this is package, you could create a class inside it. So let me name it main, and you could create more than one package. For example, com.test, and you'll see this one in Android. So just click right and add the class inside it. What I want to remember you in this video, you could have more than one package in your app, and these packages have classes, and you could have package inside another package. by adding package inside it. Yes, here we done, and thank you for watching. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about overload. Overload means you have same function with the same name with different number of parameters. Like for example, you have sum, maybe you want to sum two number, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. This means override. So to get started, I will create a new class. I will name it function fun overload. Just to make life easy for me, I will not do many work here. I just copy something from simple functions, the main method here. So here you go. Now what I want to do summation method. Imagine I want to do sum, or let me do subtraction now because we decided summation. So I will subtraction, I will have float result, okay, and should be sub, okay, and the sub will subtract two number. Let me say float for number 1 and the float for number 2, okay, and open a bracket, close it. So because I have returned data, so I say float, okay, r equal n1 minus n2, okay, this is the basic method. So then you say return r because you return result from this method, therefore you have error now in the method, return r, okay. So now this method, just call it, will return data. So to call this method, you know how to call it. You say, okay, new, the name of the class, open up, close the bracket, then the method is sub first character. So you say subtract 9 from 5, you will have to have result 5. So let me say float, I just take the result, S1, cool. And I want to print it sys, or then print this one. I say s1, then plus, I just say s1, print the value. This is just simple method to subtract 10 from 5. Just call it and say okay, it's 5. Now you want to do overload. Overload means you have another method with same name but different number of parameters. That means okay, I just copy this one, I have same name, but now I want to do 3 parameters. I say float and 3, that's mean, then I say number 1 minus number 2 minus number 3. If you see, I did not change that return that type, and I still have same name, but the number of parameter here I have 2, here I have 3. It's not you don't have to have same data type here. It's the third one, could be any data type, but I just for make it example to make it easy for you. Now imagine you want to call that method. You call it the same way. How we call this method? How we call it? You say s1 equal override sub. This one will call directly this method because we send 2 parameter. If I want to call the second method, let me say minus 2, he will directly call the third method. So s1 or s2, let me say. So just to make life easy and we don't do mistakes, so I say s2. So now the first one will call the first method and the second one will call the second method. If I run it, if you see, first one give me 5 and the second one give me 3. Why? Because this one have 2 parameter and name it sub. He will look for sub with 2 parameter. He will call this method and execute it. Then he still have sub, but here 3 parameter. He will look for sub with 3 parameter. Is this 3 parameter? No, he will not go here. He see, okay, this one is the sub with the 3 parameter. He will execute it. And here we done. Hey everybody, let me talk in this video about polymorphism. Polymorphism means you have more than one method with same name and with same return data type and with same number of input, but the input will be different data type. For example, first one take 2 integer, second one take integer and character. That's mean polymorphism. So to get started, I just will create a new class and name it function polymorph in this way, and I just create this one. Okay, let me suppose I want to do a div, so I would say I have double as return result and say div, the name of the method, it will take 2 double, so I say double n1 and double, okay, n2. and I just open a bracket and I close it. Let me suppose I will return that directory. I'll say return n1 plus n2, and here we go, return directory. You will now return in this way. So I will now return the float, or you could double, or you could say okay, double r equal that one. That's okay. It's up to you. Make sure write it the same correct way. So to call this one, to the method, just say new, the function name, open a bracket, then you call div. So I have two numbers. Let me suppose I want to div 10 over 5, and I just run it. I will not run it now, I just get the results. So I have to have double r equal, then I just print the double. So I say so for r, so r plus r. So let me just make sure this one double correct. So just calling for division method. So if you say that division is 15, why is 15? It's not division, have to be this way. Here we go, now I have division, it's 2. So it should be float, so you have to say 10.1, and here you have to say 5.1 for example, or 10.0 and 5.0. So because you're sending a float. Imagine I want to do another method that also return a float, but will do divide two number by two number an integer. So just copy this method and you go down, it's gives error because it's same name, same parameter. You say no, this one will have integer and integer. So now when he call here, how he now you want this one or this one? You will depend on that type. He see you have here a float and a float, or double and double. He will go and look for double and double. He execute this one. He wants to execute this one. If you want to execute the second one, you just copy this one, and let me suppose I send it integer. For example, 20 and 9 or 9. Yes. So now he understand from this line. He understand. Hey, this is two integers. So if I go here, is this two integer? No, this is double double. I look for two integer. He will execute the second one. So yes, this is the basic example that I want to share with you. So you could say 2 over 2 to make it easy is 10. Yes. Yes, this is the basic example I would share to you. If you see how when I send 10 and 5, he send it to the first method, and how when I send like 20 and 2, he send it to the second method. So how you now he send it to the second method? Let me suppose after I divided, I multiplied by 2. So I have to have a 20 back. If you see, I have a 20 back. So I make sure I understand this one, call it this one, and this one, call it this one. So polymorphism mean same method, same name, same return data type, different type for input. So if you see have double double, I have integer, maybe character integer, maybe other that type. Yes, if you said okay, I have another method, but this method will take integer and double, that's okay. So how you recognize, let me by 3, how you call this one? You have to send it integer and double. So the third call should be integer and double. I send this one double 2.1. So he look for integer and double. So he look, is this integer and double? No, this is double double. Is this integer and double? No. Is this integer and double? Yes, he will execute this one. Now if I run it, he will go and call the third one. If you see, this is the polymorphism. Here we're done, and thank you for watching.